In this week's races, I sneak past 3 cars in one go. In race B, I go for a spin around at Deep Forest. And in race C, it's all about surviving the Nurburgring. Hello everyone and welcome back to the Gran Turismo weekly race guide here in 2023. Week 21 is an interesting week. It's all about the Nurburgring, or at least it feels that way anyway. Now before we jump into it, if you haven't subscribed already, please do subscribe. We're very close to 60% of you subscribed now, and we're on our journey to 40k. So if you want to join in that journey, help support the channel, please do subscribe to stay in touch with all the latest content on the channel, both Gran Turismo and ACC. Right, what are we doing here in Gran Turismo this week then? We're at Goodwood and we're in the BMW M3 1989 car. But what exactly are we doing here? Well, we're doing 4 laps. It's a rolling start and we're on comfort soft tyres. Now, this reminds me of classic touring car. It also reminds me of the Nurburgring a little bit, because if you watch the Nurburgring videos, what do you see flying around the Nurburgring? Old BMWs, so there you have it. But this is very touring car-esque. It's actually a really good fun race. If you don't want to do this race, there are some timestamps there for you if you want to skip to race B or C. But we are doing this race, and we're going to have some good racing as well. So sit back and relax and enjoy the action. Here we are then at the start. As you can see, everybody in that BMW M3. I've got a TCR livery on there. Just look TCR up, and there's lots of liveries to choose from. Right, we start in a very weird place there just as we leave the chicane. P12 gets an even worse start there in the chicane, but even so, here we go. Now, you do rev the nuts out of this car. We'll give you a track guide at the very end of this video. We're going to head in towards turn 1. It's all about maintaining speed, a bit like last week, actually. But you want to use the weight of the car to really try and maintain that speed. And as you can see here, we're about to go on the outside of Corbin there. I'm not sure whether that's the politician or not. We've got Mario Sonic, who we go by, and Paul Wicks. Look at that for a run on 3 cars around the outside. You can see me smile there. Remember, this is very early in the morning, and I'm smiling. That's how good that move felt. It really was. Right, we're going to head in towards this right-hander then. It's like a kink here. Oh, Carolyn getting a bit wrong there. And then as we head into the left, you want to slow it down now. You had to actually go a bit slower there as Carolyn just stopped it on the apex. Nice there. Stopped me going for that inside beam. So I carried on through there. Round the outside of Carolyn, we go then in towards the braking zone. Round the outside, we get the job done. And we can already see the leaders in sight. We've got Chelsea and Rainbow Jester there having a real ding-dong battle here. Let's advance further on there where Rainbow Jester does get that position. Chelsea holding on to Steve's position there of P6 as we head in to turn 1. So we're going to try the same thing again as we go through here. Trying to maintain that 90 miles an hour is what we're trying to do. That's the goal anyway. To continue on out of here then, we do have a bit of a run on Shelty. Now, please tell me if this does not feel like touring cars. It really does. This next bit of racing is unbelievable as we go side by side with Shelty then as we head towards the right hand. Very dangerous to go on the outside here as we head into that braking zone, and Shelty sees that and slows it down nicely, but then goes, I can go on the inside now, Tidge. Down the inside, Shelty goes. What a beautiful move that is, but well played, Shelty. That is unbelievable. Look, man, you see my smile? You can see my smile down there. I love that. That was brilliant. As we head towards the right-hander, Shelty defending that inside. I'm trying around the outside as we go through that right-hander. Oh, look at this beautiful racing here. Beautiful racing as we continue on out of there. And Shelty keeping that position for now then as we head down this back straight here at the Goodwood Motor Circuit. See the slipstream coming into play a little bit there, just slowly closing in on Shelty, revving the nuts out the car. That's what you got to do as we head in towards the braking zone. Then down the inside, I try and fly. Do I get it done? Still side by side with Shelty. Got the second part of this corner. We just get it done there. Through we go. Beautiful racing there with Shelty. It really was. What can we expect other than beautiful racing with Shelty? Oh, we go through here. Oh, the punch driver's off there. Oh, big old crash. And, oh, Shelty's gone as well. Oh, Shelty, no. Where was the ghosting for Shelty there? Oh, dear, oh me. As we head in towards turn 1, then we're on the outside of, who is this? Rainbow Jester. Just has a look on the left there. As we go through it, leaves me just enough room there. Beautiful bit of racing. Good sportsmanship as well. As we continue on out there in that 4th gear. It looks like we've got the job done. You can see actually the change of gear there for Jester actually cost them a bit of time. And that's why I just aim for turn 1. We've had a bit further on then, where we got Hodgson, a part of TCR as well, heading in towards the right-hander. They have a YouTube as well, if you want to check them out, of course, as we go into the right-hander. And they're actually going to be checking out the outside of the corner there. Oh, they got an oversteer, and where's the ghosting? Oh, Oh, we have a big crash there. They lost the rear end there, but fortunately we carry on. And we actually carry on with Mario Sonic right behind us here. Mario Sonic absolutely flying in this. We're heading towards turn 1 again, trying to maintain that 90 miles an hour. Just dropped to 87 there. Remember last time I was at 88. Well, Mario Sonic there, look at him go, because he was a bit higher on the speed. And remember, you have to rev the nuts out of this car. So every mile an hour you keep, the more power you have, more acceleration you have. And Mario Sonic takes full advantage of that and really does maximize that, getting into the podium position then. But I'm not going to give this up yet, Mario Sonic. No way, Jose, am I giving that up. And hello to Jose if you're out there. Anyway, in towards the right-hander we go. Mario Sonic goes a little bit deep here as we get on the inside. And Mario Sonic then is going to be side-by-side action. Is it then through the right we go? Oh, it's tight. It's tight. We're revving the nuts out of it. That smile's coming back as well. You can see how much I enjoyed this. I reckon you'll enjoy this too. Once you get used to the car, it is really good fun. As we are now in that slipstream. Where's Mario Sonic going to go then? He's going to go towards the right or the left. Goes towards that right-hand side then. We're looking towards that left, but nowhere to really go here. Mario Sonic defends that beautifully as we go into the right. Trying to get a run off that corner. Can we do it then? Only the chicane to go. Will Mario Sonic hit the barrier then? As we go into the left, and we just get it slightly wrong there. A bit too much oversteer. Mario Sonic keeping that position. Beautiful racing there, Mario. Really well done. Congratulations to the winner and Inferno Fox, part of TCR there. As TCR do get at least one podium here. Come on with P4. I'd say this is a good race, good fun race. Really highly recommend you try this out just for a bit of fun because you can have some good racing. And it feels like touring cars, which is always a nice feeling. Right, let me tell you what to do here at the Goodwood circuit in the BMW M3 then. So coming towards turn 1, I use that Marshall box as a bit of a brake marker, okay? But what you're trying to do is just brake a tiny bit and then roll the car through the corner. Remember, if you brake too much, you can have weight transfer. Notice that dab of the brake there. I'm just trying to slow the car down to about 90 miles an hour. Now, go a bit too deep here. Remember, 90 miles an hour is the goal. I was down at 87 there. Very hard to hit 90 miles an hour, but keep that as your goal. Stay in 4th gear as well, because 3rd gear is 85 miles an hour before you change, and you are staying above that. Heading towards this right hand then, it's flat out all the way up to this point. Again, the Marshall box on the left-hand side here at Goodwood. As that starts to leave the edge of the screen, again, you're braking a bit harder this time compared to turn 1, but you're turning in. Notice the weight transfer there. Keeping it over towards the right-hand side as best as possible. And the end of that tarmac, you're just outside the white line there, that is your brake marker for this left-hander. 4th gear again. It's a very nice gear, 4th gear for this car. And you're trying to maintain as much speed as possible, above 80 miles an hour if you can. Remember, 85 miles an hour is roughly where you're changing 3rd gear, so if you can keep it, that's what you do. Now, this corner, very difficult. There are 2 brake markers. In the race, you've got the crane there on the right side. But on the left-hand side, you've got a row of 3 trees. They're very much noticeable as you go around the circuit. The last of the 3 trees there, that is my brake marker for this corner. And as you can see, it works wonders there. I stay on the circuit and I can nail that corner quite well. Could have broke a bit later, maybe. But even so, you know, it's still on for a good lap here. Remember, this is my fastest lap of the practice that I did. Heading down the back straight then and towards the double right-hander. The end of the tarmac on the left-hand side is your brake marker. There is a Marshall box there if you prefer to use that, but I always look towards the tarmac, what's closest to the circuit, and that is what it is there. So I'm braking hard here, and I dropped to 3rd gear, okay? Now, you go out to come back into the second part of the double right-hander and keep it in 3rd gear for this final corner, okay? You will hit the limiter just, but even so, it's better to keep it stable with weight transfer. The Marshall box on the left-hand side is your brake marker here, and you sort of want to straight line this as best as possible to avoid that weight transfer. So go through here, notice how I'm keeping the car fairly straight, managing that weight, and there we are done with race A. That is it for race A. Let's head to race B. Welcome to Deep Forest Raceway then for race B, where we're in a group for machinery, which does mean this is going to be some very close racing with the amount of straights here at Deep Forest. What are we doing here exactly? Well, we're doing 5 laps. It's a rolling start. And we're on racing medium tyres. Thank you, Gran Turismo. That's exactly what we wanted. Boppy's on, of course. Now, I chose the Ferrari for this one because Group 4, never sure what is the meta at given track. So the Ferrari is always a good choice. Top 5 car all the time. Let's jump to the race then. Let's have a look exactly what happens. And you get a lap guide of this mini Nurburgring. Here we are then at the start. As you can see, a few Ferraris and instead Fiestas then. We got a couple of Veyrons in there and some Silvias, of course. Now, the Silvia I did expect to be the best car here, but even so, we will see how that goes throughout the week. Now, if you're not subscribed, as I just showed you there, please do subscribe and give it a like if you are enjoying this video so far. Mario Sonic flashing his hands there, saying hello as we go into race B. Now, remember, when I do these races, I actually do them backwards. I start with C, I then do B, and I finish off with A. If you did want to do A and B, you can actually do A and quickly get into B in just enough time, depending on how quick you are. There is about a 40-second window there if you're on the PlayStation 5. Right, let's get into this race then. As you can see, Marisonic looking down the inside of the Norwegian driver there. They go side by side through the corner we go. Now, I could see that the Norwegian driver actually got a good run out the corner, so I was like, okay, I'll follow their line here. So we go down the outside of Marisonic then, looking to try and get back into that slipstream as quick as possible. Do we do it? Yes, we do indeed. As we head down towards the sharp hairpin. Now, this is going to be the scene of a lot of dives, a lot of punts and dirty drivers, so do keep your eye on that rear view mirror if you can. But we're going to try and go around the outside here of the Norwegian driver as we go around the outside. Is it going to work? No way. Whoa, look at that. There we go. It works indeed, folks. That's what you like to see. As we now catch up to NG Flash. Hello to you. Oh, hello. We've got somebody at P13 Black there towards that left-hand side. But yes, hello to MG Flash as we look down the inside. Now, I did have a look at this move a few times in this race, and you'll see that going forward as well. It's a very good move, and I think people need to be aware of that move where people go down that inside into that right-hander. I think that's going to become quite a common move here at Deep Forest Raceway. We've got MG Flash towards the left-hand side then. I'm starting to look towards the right, but we've got Sylvia going slow here, so we'll go down the middle here. Unfortunately, MG Flash just taps my rear there under braking, and that's just going to send me around. Unfortunately, we just catch it as we continue on out. Now, I know that was a mistake. Don't get me wrong. They broke early to try and come on to that racing line, but I was still there. So we carry on with the racing here. We have the Norwegian driver once again up ahead. We've got somebody with a penalty there. That was that slow Sylvia earlier on, actually, wasn't it? As we look towards the sharp hairpin coming up then. So the Sylvia taking that penalty on the left. We're going to get by beforehand. Yes, we are. Let's look towards that inside of the Norwegian driver as we send it down the inside, and we do hit that apex and continue on now up into P14 again. But as you can see, lots of cars up ahead, a big old train of cars, which does mean there should be some good racing this week. There really should. Inferno Fox there in the Veyron, looking down the inside of Dan Stable then as we go in to the right-hander. Ooh, Dan Stable looking a bit unstable there. Should we call you Dan Unstable? I'm not too sure. Anyway, in towards the right we go. Continue on out of here. And remember that move I was talking about earlier on? Again, I was looking down here, and I think some people may not see me there. Dan Stable just struggling a bit there. I'm not sure whether they've got dirt on their tyres. We'll continue on out. They have got a penalty from all of this so far, as we're now going to look around the outside on this left-hander. Very hard to do, but again, Dan was just struggling here. You're actually going to see me get very close to the barrier there of the bridge, but we survive, and we do gain another position then as we continue onto the back straight. Let's advance towards the end of the back straight then as we head into this braking zone. We go, MG Flash goes a bit deep here, so we can have another race with MG Flash then as we continue on out. So we're going to be very close to the British driver in that Shaw machine, and in the slipstream we go as we head down the hill and back up, and we're looking on the outside. I've just caught up to them at the real wrong time here. Could have done with a bit more of a gap so I could get a good run on this start-finish straight, but that's not going to work here as we head down towards turn 1. MG Flash on the inside. We're going to try around the outside here. Not really a move that works very often, but hey, it's always worth a try. MG Flash just gives me just enough room here. Beautiful racing, and you can see that they keep that position for now then as we go in towards the inside of what I would call a mini Nurburgring. I mentioned it in the intro, actually. You know, this does give you Nurburgring vibes in terms of it's very hard to overtake in places, and you do have one long straight where the overtaking can happen. Once again, looking down that inside, I reckon I can definitely send it there. I do back out of it, though. Just trying to show my nose a little bit. But yeah, this is definitely a mini Nurburgring. So this whole week is giving me Nurburgring vibes, let's put it that way. And Deep Forest definitely is that feeling as we go into this left-handed now. MG Flash just was on the brakes a little bit late there. I did see that, so I was going for the old cut back there, get on the inside quite quickly. You can see how that works, and up into P12, but they're going to have the slipstream then as we head down towards this hairpin, as we do want to try and catch up to the pack up ahead, but we are on the final lap here. The Sylvia looking down the inside of the Ferrari as well. I was like, okay, I'm not going to defend this, going to stick towards this right-hand side. But MG Flash just gets ahead there as we head into the braking zone then, and we go in. So I left a little bit of room there because I could see they were there. Going to leave the corner then, and we are still in P12, so we defended that very nicely. We're going to fast forward towards the end, though, where you can see a lot of action up ahead. Inferno Fox gets P10, and we've got Jules in P11. But that's a good race. I enjoyed this race. It's a really good race. You can see my little smile there on my face with that reaction camera. The race I would highly recommend, actually. It is a race I would highly recommend indeed. Right, let's jump to the track guide then. So we're going to start on the start-finish straight, obviously. And when you head towards turn 1, you've got two markers here you can use. You can either start looking at the start of the curb or use that curb itself. or the 100-meter board. I'm actually in between both of them here in the Ferrari. And what I'm going to do is just hit on the anchors here. Now, you actually don't want to take a tight line in. So you avoid the curb initially, and you want to come back for a later apex on that curb to get a good run out. Now, be careful track limits on the exit. They're not as bad as the Olympic time trial, so don't worry about that too much, but just be careful. As you come into here, it's a slight lift as you go into here. Clip that curb, and then what you're going to look for is the start of the concrete on the left-hand side. Unfortunately, it's covered by the shadow in this one, but you can definitely see it, don't worry. And you're braking just before that. And you actually want to cut a little bit of this concrete, okay, on the left, avoiding the sausages, and then a dab on the brakes, drop to second, and then back up to third. I will get my words out there eventually. As you go through this tunnel, as you exit, you've got the curb there. The end of the curb is your brake marker, and you want a tight line for this one, okay? A wide line doesn't really work, so I always go for a tight line. You can see there, I'm hugging that inside, and I'm waiting to see that tunnel and then boot it out. Be careful of track limits here. If you go fully over onto that green stuff, you will get a track limit penalty. As you head towards the crest of the hill here, as the curb really ingresses into the tarmac there, really comes into the tarmac, that is your brake markers. You're going to dab the brakes and chuck it left, essentially. Clip the curb and then really accelerate through the corner. You can be aggressive there. You can be aggressive on the throttle, so do try and be as aggressive as possible. As you head towards a sharp left-hander, you've got this concrete here, and I've highlighted the start and the end of it. You're going to brake in there. Now, I normally brake at the start of it to try and get a good line for this left-hander. Again, track limit's not a huge issue on exit. Just stay on the red and white curbing at least, and you should be fine. But make sure you really are accelerating out of that corner as early as possible. It's a very significant corner to get right. You have a long straight there. As you get towards the end of the straight, we have this hairpin. And on the right side in the race, you've got that sort of all the little banners there. Or you can use the start of the fence there. Now, I'm looking to use the start of the fence, which is what I'm doing there. And I'm going to slow the car down, get it turned through the corner, accelerate out as we do. And then I'm going to head towards the line. And literally, this is a lap of Deep Forest in a nutshell. You literally want to stay tight now if you really want to maximize the time in terms of your lap time. But yeah, Deep Forest in a nutshell, the mini Nurburgring. I do like this circuit. Very good for racing, very good fun, but that is it. Now, we talked about the mini Nurburgring. Let's jump to the actual Nurburgring, because that's where we are for race C. It's a 24-hour way out, because it was the 24 hours of Nurburgring at the weekend. I will get my words out. I'm struggling today, apparently. Now, you can see we're in Group 3, which is obviously the main category of car at the Nurburgring. And we're doing 2 laps here at the Nurburgring. It's a rolling start with racing hard tyres. Tyres want a fuel tyre wear because the weather is on, so you could have some rain in this. Now, I did time trial a couple of times, and what I found was that sometimes it was raining, sometimes it was dry. So obviously that's going to affect your practice laps and where you start in the grid. Now, I chose the GTR 18 car, which you can see in the background, just because I thought it'd be a bit more stable than the Supra in any wet weather. But if it's dry, the Supra is probably going to be quicker. Let's jump to the race and let's have a look exactly what happens. And no lap guide this time, because I don't do lap guides of the full layout, otherwise it's an hour video. Here we are then at the start with a mixture of cars, because nobody knows what's going to happen with the weather as you enter. This time we started with a dry track. The question is it going to stay like that? Stay subscribed, by the way, because we may go weather hunting in the future. You can see a little bit of rain there. That looks very light to me. We're going to head down towards turn 1 then. The BMW is taking a very wide line into here. We were looking down that inside. Not going to quite work, as then we head into the left-hander. Oops, slight tap from behind. Nothing major there, though, as we continue on out. Be careful of cold tyres. As you saw, Mario Sonic went for a bit of a drift there with some power oversteer on exit. Now, as I say, you got to be careful with the tyres here because they are cold. As we go through this left-hander, I see a gap. I go for the gap. Down the inside we go. What a move that is. I did enjoy that move, I can say that much. Very early in the morning. Remember, this is the first race of this week in terms of Daily Race C. That is available to you. Yeah, I enjoyed that one a lot. I'm going to head down towards the hairpin here. Mario Sonic took a wide line there, so I had to sort of take avoiding action because I went a bit too deep. But I would think I would have made it if Mario Sonic wasn't there, but I had to, you know, avoid them. You know, they can take any place on that tarmac they want. They can be anywhere on the circuit. So yeah, we had to take avoiding action, and we're down to P14. So we've got a lot to do here at the Nurburgring. We've got Subaru behind us who just likes to stay behind us there. I'm not sure what's going on with that driver. So we head onto the Nurburgring, where it's what it normally is, really. It's a traffic jam in most situations until a nice little gap opens up. The BMW there went to meet a barrier, so we'll take that position from there. We go up to flood flats here, just lift off a little bit here, because I don't want the front lifting too much as we go through here. Oh, a bit of the down of the brake there from Varnabis in that AMG Mercedes. that does give us a run indeed. So this is the point where it's really hard to overtake. You know, GT3 cars are quite wide beats here, you know. They are extra wide. As we go down the inside there, a little bit of a bump. Then going to this left-hander. I know they're on my outside, so I take it cautiously. A bit too cautiously. So they're going to keep that round the outside. Beautiful racing there from Barnabas too. I have trust there that I was going to give the room, that I was going to make the corner. And they took that trust. And beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Heading down towards this corner. I don't like this corner. I don't know why. It's just a corner. I always end up off. Unfortunately for, well, fortunately for me and unfortunately for them, they end up off instead there. The AMG off, and we also have the Toyota Supra off there of Nils as we continue on through up into P11. So you see, we are overtaking people, but only because of mistakes, not necessarily because of actual racing action. This course is very tight. I say course again, I'm turning American. Circuit. This circuit is very tight. It really is tight as we head over the crest of the hill, and Jindra just going to head off to the grass there. So I know Jindra's got dirt on their tyres at this moment, so it's like, okay, let's see what we can do in terms of that. They won't have the grip. I'll have all the grip. Let's see. So Jindra sticking towards that inside as we head towards the carousel. The famous carousel, of course, as we head into this braking zone then. And, oh, go on, stay on it. Oh, I'll just stay on it there as we go through here. Exit the corner. Oh, Jindra, a bit of oversteer there. Down the inside of them we go. And someone's got a penalty up ahead as well. That's good for us as we're up and now into the top 10. Top 10 in the top 16 race. Yes, there we go. In towards the right-hander we go. Jesse just clips the curb on the inside there as we look to catch up there. Through the left we go. Jesse just ran wide there. Oh, bit of oversteer. Touched the grass as well. We slow it up here because I didn't want to go on the outside there. Very risky to go on the outside, and look, that's what would have happened there. That's what normally happens with a lot of cars, is you just clip the curb and it just forces you out wide. A very fast part of the circuit as well. And of course, we have the huge 2-kilometer straight coming up where we can then look to overtake. So you can see why Deep Forest I reference as the mini Nurburgring, and the Nurburgring obviously is, well, the Nurburgring, the full 24-hour layout here, of course. As we leave that corner, Hodgson's just been off there. We saw them come back on. I was at a party on the left-hand side there in a previous year at the Gran Turismo World Finals. As we go to the right-hander then, we get behind Hodgson here then, struggling with those dirty tyres through the right-hander, which does mean we have a bit extra grip here, and we look to try and get past them very quickly. You can see that run we had on Hodgson then. Through we go. Now, why do I not do a guide here? One is because of the length of it, and two, I am not a Nurburgring expert in the slightest. Oh, there's the penalty. We'll take that. So I don't do guides here at all. I'm not a fan of the track in terms of racing, but I do think it's a very good time trial track. And you saw that on the outlap, or first lap there, where people were making mistakes everywhere. And we only gain places because of those mistakes. Otherwise, it's very hard to overtake. This is the only place to make overtakes. You see that Hodgson was giving me a bump draft. We go round the outside of the AMG of Jesse there as we head down in towards the braking zone then, looking to really get the car slowed down. Do we do it? We do indeed. And we've got Shelty! Look at that, Shelty back in P6 there as we look to continue on to lap 2. So we're checking the weather quickly there. Is it going to rain? I didn't see any rain on the weather radar, so I stayed out. Obviously, with only 2 laps and an 8-minute lap, you've really got to make sure you time it right with the pits. You've got 1 lap, 1 chance to pit. Otherwise, you could be out on dries in the wet weather. As we look down the inside of Shelty, then Shelty gives that up, not wanting to trust me on this left-hander then. But we would have given room, but Shelty lets me go there. So yeah, you are going to have to be very careful in terms of whether you see it's greying over here. And that's had me worried a little bit. If it throws it down halfway through the lap, carnage will ensue. I promise you that. As we see Twitch Red F there, just, yeah, coming back on circuit. I had to make a judgment call there, inside or outside with the ghost in. Inside, it worked quite well as we go up into P5. Happy days indeed. Obviously, at that point then, we just carried on. Onto the straights. Now, this is where the Supra dominates. Absolutely dominates. Look at this Supra coming at me now. It was 6 tenths behind. It was actually behind somebody else. And look at the speed of this thing. 6 tenths. It's just been eaten up like nobody's been. Look at it go. Look at the speed of that car. Clean on by, absolutely not a problem for Nils. Unbelievable, that car, absolutely unbelievable. So we'd look to take the racing line. The BMW probably looked at it, but yeah, it's very hard to go side by side through there, as we saw in one of the Nations Cup finals earlier in, manufacturers with Nick and Sai. But even so, we're going to head towards the line in Steve's favourite position there, P6. And that is the end of the Nürburgring race. So, as I say, there's not going to be a track guide because I don't do track guides to this circuit. I've never done it in all the years I've done the weekly race guide. There are lots of track guides for the full Nürburgring there out there if you do want to check them out. However, we're not over yet. We've got the bloopers. Right, here we go then. First blooper is race A, where, oh, yeah, so they clip the barrier, then there's a bit of a push to Jets had nowhere to go, and yeah, one of those where you've hit the barrier. There's nowhere anybody can go there the second you leave the corner. Shelty was probably hoping for ghosting there because Shelty, yeah, it was unfortunate. Right, into the brake zone we go. See there, MG Flash just turns right a little bit there as they go into the brake. And again, it's just a little mistake. It's nothing major, you know. Some people would rage at that. I'm not going to rage at that. It's just a small mistake. I carried on racing. We still had a good race, didn't we, me and MG Flash? Right, the most common mistake of all, clipping the grass there into that left-hander at the Nurburgring. Now, I want to give, well, Road Beef is their nickname, but it was Nils in terms of their PSN. A shout out. They did some very clean driving, very good comeback on there. And later on in the race, I actually checked them out. They were super duper clean, superb driving from you. As we go into the left here with Hodgson on the mini carousel, just gets it slightly wrong there and comes back on. Do be careful with MR cars, they will suffer a little bit on the exit of those carousels. As we jump to the final clip then, this is the BMW as we go into here. Oh, same mistake. Oh my, what a catch! Oh, that is a good catch. Very quick catch there by Red F there in terms of that BMW. See how they got going again. They weren't sure where I was going. I went down the inside and then they just made room there. That's an unbelievable catch, but you saw the same mistake twice. It's a very common mistake there, so try not to do it. And that is it for this week's video, folks. I do hope you've enjoyed it. If you did, give it a like. Subscribe to the channel to stay in touch for all the latest content. We are on our journey to 40k. But as I say, that is it for me. 2 videos to check out there, and I hope to see you in another video or live stream again very soon.